What's going on, my soul family? Welcome back to another episode of the Awake with Jake show. On today's episode, I'm going to be dropping in and talking about how to integrate your sexual energy. I will be speaking from my experiences and how I have done this within myself, which I believe that's all teachers can teach from, is the experiences that they have gone through and embodied in their own life. Now, before I get into today's episode, I just have a small little favor to ask of you, and that is to take a moment of your time right now and leave a rating and review on my podcast on Apple Podcast, because when you do this, you help me reach more souls with my messages of hope, wisdom, and love. And make sure you hit that subscribe button right now so you never miss any future content as it rolls out. So integrating sexual energy. Maybe you've heard or worked with your own sexual energy. Maybe you're familiar with it. Maybe you're totally unconscious to it like I was for most of my life. When I was around 11 years old, I was introduced to pornography. I was a little boy. I'm 11 years old at the time, going through all this crazy stuff at home, the abuse from my father, my sister's heroin addiction, and my parents were getting a divorce. My mother's having breast cancer. I'm overweight. I'm this chubby little fat kid. So I have all this anger and emotion and tension built up in my body. But I was introduced to pornography. And when I found pornography, it became an escape to release the pain and the tension in my body. So I became severely addicted to pornography. I would watch it 3, 4, 5 times a day and have multiple ejaculations. And I was constantly just spending myself and releasing what I thought was tension from my body, because I would build up this feeling of anxiety or fear or worry or stress in my body. And I would just continue to repeat this cycle of masturbating and going through this addiction to pornography. Now, when some people hear this, that may make them feel very uncomfortable. And that's okay, because I was there for a long time myself. But I have no shame in my sexuality, because I have integrated that parts of myself. And the parts of yourself that you haven't integrated, you haven't healed, you will have shame around, and you'll feel uncomfortable talking about them. Okay? So once again, if you're new to this and you're kind of brand new to the world of sexuality and sexual energy, please give it time. This energy is so sacred. And once you start working with it, learning how to work with it, your whole life will change. As I grew older and I started getting into romantic relationships, I was just basically connecting with people at a very lustful level, meaning that I was only attracted to them physically, and it was all about sexual attraction. There was no depth in my relationships. There was no spiritual or emotional connection, because I was only connected to myself at the physical level. And you can only connect to other people at the level that you have connected with yourself. You can only meet people at the level that you've met yourself. So I was still vibrating at ego consciousness, and I was attracting to me these partners, these vibrational matches, these energetic matches that were of ego consciousness as well, very physical attraction based. Now, I struggled in relationships for so long because I was just lusting after people. I was only attracted to the physical body. It would be like going to buy a car and never really looking under the hood and seeing what the engine is all about. So when we go through life lusting after people, basically it's like not understanding the inner workings of the engine of your vehicle. So we kind of just have this surface level connection to the car. And that's what it felt like. I felt like I was just attracted to people like you would be to a car or a nice pair of clothes, whatever you buy, whatever you love. That was about the level of depth that I had in my relationships. Now, when I started to spiritually awaken, I went through absolute hell because when we spiritually awaken, we basically go through many dark nights of the ego, where basically our ego is learning to take a back seat and we're coming into soul consciousness. And it feels like this huge upheaval of energy in our life, because all of the trauma spots, all of the blind spots, all of the repressed spots, all of the shadow areas of ourself are being brought up to the surface. Now, one of the things for me was my addiction to pornography and my sexual desires, my lustful desires. So as I started working with this energy of this beautiful divine energy, I started moving it up from the lower chakras, the root chakra, the sacral chakra, and breathing it up into my heart and really focusing on redirecting the energy outward from my heart and not my genitalia. Okay, so if you're a person that is struggling with how to do this, how to work with your sexual energy, start with the breath. The breath can help you to transmute this energy and alchemize it into more of a higher vibrational frequency to be of service, to be of healing energy. Remember, sexual energy is so, so powerful. It is life force energy. But remember this also. The feminine energy, which I would say is more related to sexual energy, our sexual essence, our emotional body, our feeling bodies, all the feminine energy, which we all have, all humans have that, has been severely wounded and repressed within this world. So along comes with that sexuality being repressed, being shamed, being exploited. People are using their sexuality to get things in this life, to manipulate the minds and control people with their body because they have a nice, physically attractive body. They can get things. And also, it's being exploited in different ways as well. And I really want to emphasize how it's being exploited because there's so much shame around this. These marketers know the psychology behind the sexuality. Companies like porn companies, they know how deeply ingrained and how wounded the sexuality is. So it's easy to hook people, to lure them in with sex because, quote unquote, sex sells, right? Well, absolutely, especially to people that haven't integrated their sexuality. So the first thing is working with your breath. So if you want to, and all humans can do this, isn't just for men or just for women, this is for all human beings. If you want to start to alchemize your sexual energy, change your breathing, become conscious of your breath. So here's an example. Maybe you're starting to feel really lustful, very horny, and you start projecting that, and maybe you get into this flow, this cycle of really wanting to have sex so badly just to release and ejaculate. Start consciously bringing your breath into your body by closing your eyes. And you can do this right now with me. Just close your eyes gently. Breathing in through your nose, holding at the top, and releasing. Breathing in through the nose, holding at the top, and releasing. Breathing in through the nose, holding at the top, and releasing. Now, what I want you to continue to do as we breathe here together is visualize this energy wherever you feel it, this lustful energy, wherever you're feeling it in your body. Start there and breathing it up into your heart. So breathe from the place where you feel your desires, your lower desires, your lustful desires, bringing this up into the heart. So breathing here with me, breathing up, holding at the top, and release. Breathing in, bringing it up, holding, and release. Bringing it up, breathing, hold at the top, and release. Breathing it in, holding at the top, and release. Breathing in, 1, 2, and release. So what we're learning to do is simply bring awareness to the lower desire feelings, the lower chakra desires. Now, I would say that about 97% of the relationships on our planet are locked in the first 3 chakras, okay? Meaning the root, which is the first chakra. The second chakra is the sacral chakra, which is the place of sexuality, creativity, expression. And the third chakra is the place of personal power. Okay, so think about this, how this gets locked there, and there's no heart, there's no higher cosmic connection, because it gets locked down in the lower chakras because we are wounded in the lower chakras, meaning that we don't feel safe, our sexuality is shamed, and our power is being taken away. So that's how we get locked in the first 3 chakras. So I have been in many chakra 1 through 3 relationships, okay? But when you start bringing the energy up into your heart and you continue to work on healing trauma and unresolved trauma, you start to open up the parts of yourself by removing and releasing the veils that blind you from seeing your true essence, your true divine essence. Sexual energy is not to be shamed. Okay, I want to make this very clear. Sexual energy is not to be shamed. It is life force energy. When you can redirect that and bring the energy up through the higher chakras, you will start to feel this whole body orgasm. Now, you can practice this on your own. You can practice this with another person in the act of sex, but really it's about working with your sexuality to become more conscious, more energized. Sexual energy is life force, but because so many people feel a little bit of tension, feel a little bit of horniness in their body, they just quickly pull the plug out of the bathtub and release all the water out of the bathtub. But imagine if you started to work with this sexual energy, to alchemize it, to bring it up into the heart, to feel a whole body orgasm. Imagine what you can feel with your breath, bringing it all the way up into your crown chakra, which is the highest chakra, the place where we connect to God energy. By bringing this beautiful divine sexual energy up through the chakra system with the breath, we become alchemists of our sexual energy. And it is possible, but I will tell you this, you need to have a lot of patience and you have to be willing to be disciplined. If you make time for yourself to heal this, you will heal it. But you have to be intentional, you have to be conscious, and don't be super hard on yourself. If you slip up, as you're working with this energy, it's okay. You're going to have a lot of slip ups along working with this. But remember this, whether you're single or in a relationship, the more conscious that you become, the more integrated you are with your sexual energy, the more that you are going to attract that to you. Vibrationally, you will attract someone beyond just the physical level, beyond just the lustful level. So your relationship doesn't drag out into like a 2 or 3 year one night stand and you just lust after each other's physical bodies. Most people in relationships, when they have sex or not in relationship at all, just one night stands, whatever you're doing, they don't connect to the other person. It is very superficial, it's very physical, which is fine if that's what you want. But if you're looking for depth, go beyond the physical. Be intentional with the person. Connect to each other's breath. Connect to each other's eyes. Connect to each other's hearts. And you will feel a sense of deepening in the sexual experience, in the intimate romance that you feel with that person. Most people are just using other people's bodies to masturbate, right? Which I'm telling you, when you start working with this energy, and you start alchemizing your sexual energy, you will start to really anchor into something so sacred, so beautiful. But it really does take work. Another thing too I really want to address here is pornography. If you're watching porn now, I would invite you to give it up, to release it, because it's not serving you. And what porn does is it ruins the human psyche. And it totally teaches you to objectify another person. And I think this thing around men really struggling with this, but I also know that women struggle with this as well. I've worked with a lot of female clients over the years, and women definitely struggle with this as well. I think that the masculine energy is all about freedom, feeling emptiness, and having a sense of purpose. But when they make the purpose to just ejaculate, they end up weakening themselves, and they make their mission chasing women just to get them, then it becomes very, very empty. It's all ego-based. So you have to anchor into something deeper than just your ego, serving something deeper than just your ego. And that's how we start to redirect that sexual energy outward into healing energy to be of service to other people. when I realized that I was here for something so much greater than just my little ego, everything in my life began to change. I was here to make more than just money, right? I was here to I am here to make a serious impact and help people ascend in consciousness and raise their vibrational energy. And one of the ways that we do that is by transcending and transmuting our sexual energy. Because if you can master your sexual energy and you're not controlled by your sexual energy, life can become so beautiful. And this is just another tool in the toolbox, right? These are all things to help you awaken, to get free. Because if you're trapped by your addictions to sex and porn and everything else and your lower chakra desires, then you will stay trapped in the 3D world. But the more you integrate your sexuality and your sexual energy and you start working with this sexual energy, you are working with such powerful life force. You think that a cup of coffee gives you energy? Start working with your sexual energy and watch how everything starts to change in your life. And once again, I'm only speaking from personal experience of what I have gone through and what I have embodied within myself. I will tell you that when you give up things like the lower chakra desires and watching porn, you will stop objectifying people. You will start to connect to people at a deeper level in all relationships too, not just romantic relationships, in all human relationships, because you're not going to continue to attract people that are locked in their lower chakras. Okay. And if you do, you'll be able to identify it. You'll kind of smile at it and you can choose to keep them in your life or not. But once you start integrating this energy through the breath, through releasing your shame, through really having conscious, intentional awareness of the desires that you feel, you start to really turn on your light switch. And it's so much greater than any type of lower desire feeling, because it starts to become so powerful and working through your entire body, and it energizes you with this beautiful life force. Another thing I want to address as well is the shame that people carry within their sexual energy. A lot of people have been conditioned, just like I was, that sex is bad, sex is naughty, your private parts, you have to never talk about them. And you don't learn anything on sexual education when you go to school or college. I mean, very little, right? So we're not taught that sex is such a beautiful, sacred act. You are literally exchanging energies with another person. It is a very deep spiritual experience. So to be aware of that, to connect deeply with a person in that moment, to share that space, to share that energy, you are going beyond just the physical body. I hope that this episode brought you a ton of value. And if it did, please take a screenshot of it and share it to your Instagram story and tag me. Thank you so much for being here with me and learning how to integrate your sexual energy. I will definitely be talking more about this in future podcast episodes, so make sure you stay tuned. As always, stay open, stay loving, and stay connected to that beautiful source within you.